nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
Well, we got more Andor this week, and we got to see what I imagine it looked like on Endor 6 hours later. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course, with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey, Doug, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
I imagine on Endor, you'd have to be, like, dodging debris, though, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been a little more dangerous.
Exactly.
But I imagine it looks something like that.
Yeah. I gotta say, I said I was excited to see what this was going to look like. They really hyped it up, and, you know, I wasn't disappointed. It's kind of cool looking.
No, it's very cool looking. Very cool looking. They definitely got a new destination for Star Tours out of that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
I'm sure that's in the works.
No.
Maybe not, but, you know.
Probably done.
Probably.
It's coming out next week, probably.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, how long was it after Force Awakens when Jakku showed up?
Oh,
hell, it might have been before.
Don't know. Yeah.
Might have actually been before, like after the trailer.
Right.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised for that to be showing up.
That would be funny. Yeah.
So we finally got the heist.
Finally, yes. Yeah, I was glad to see this. I figured if it didn't happen, you know, if this week ended up being like another build-up week, I mean, they were right there camping out, you know. It was like, and I was going to get a little like, all right, come on now. But yeah, we got it.
Yeah, I guess we should mention that we are talking about season 1, episode 6 of Andor.
Yeah,
and the episode's called The Eye. So
yes.
So put that out there. Put that out there for anyone listening in the future.
Right.
Did it? I hate doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Did it live up to your personal expectations? Because I mean, there was a lot of build.
There was. Yeah, I was kind of getting at that. Yeah, there was a lot of build up to this. I will say this: by the end of the episode, I was satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
The way everything went down was a little different than I expected it to be. Does that answer your question?
I mean, I gotta say, I thought it was a little. The heist itself felt rushed.
Right.
The beginning of the episode was more set up and like, okay, they're in position. They're still in position. Still in position. Vel's having what looks like second thoughts.
That was a little strange to me, I gotta say. Because it's like she was the one, you know, leading this whole thing and championing the whole thing. It's like, what's going on here? You know?
Yeah. Cinta says the most words that she has in the show so far.
Right.
And that was to snap Vel out of it.
Right.
Like, yeah, I just thought it was an odd choice to get to the heist episode, and we're gonna keep setting up.
Yeah.
And then once we get to the heist, it's like, okay, we're in the front room. Okay, we're going down the elevator. Okay, the second group's going down the elevator. Got the vault open. We're doing this. It's like, wow, this is happening fast.
Right.
And it's like, okay, now some characters got to die, so we're gonna bang, 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 bang. They're all dead. I was like, what the hell just happened?
Right.
So I mean, Gorn, right?
Yeah. That was blink and miss it right there.
Oh, it really was. I actually did.
Yeah, so did I the first time around. Yes.
The first time I watched it, I did miss it, and I'm like, well, he must have died. And it like clicked. Oh, he must have been the one that, got shot real quick.
Yep.
So I'm like, wow.
I was looking for him on the ship. It was like, where'd he go?
Yeah, I mean, watching, when they're flying away and everything, I'm like, well, if he ain't dead, he's gonna be.
Exactly.
Like, if they left him behind, that's like one dude you can't leave behind.
Exactly. But yeah, it did go by pretty quick. That's for sure.
I'm with you. Like, by the end, I felt it was a very satisfying episode, all in all.
Right.
I think what garners this criticism is 5 episodes of setup for this.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we kind of like, it appears as though we've kind of like wrapped up this story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of getting the impression that this whole storyline of Cassian's here is for season 1 is like a 2-part thing.
Well, yeah, because he's not a rebel yet.
Right. But with I don't know. I always do this to you, but with everything that happened at the end, we'll just say that you're kind of left scratching your head a little bit about Cassian. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can just talk about it, and we might as well, because I mean, to be honest, this episode really kind of lacked the meat of the other ones. And it's weird because this is the one that had the heist in it.
Right. Right. This is the action episode. I'll give them that.
Right.
For sure.
Right. So, yes, at the end, you're talking his discussion
with Skeen. Yeah.
Skeen.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny because we had talked earlier today.
Right.
And I had mentioned to you, I was like, I have a feeling this Skeen dude's going to double cross him.
Right.
And look at that.
Yep. He I think he's how do you put it? He's not that far off really on his read of Cassian, in my opinion. Right? He knows where Cassian is come from.
Right.
But he misses the read when it comes to how do you put it? Where his head's at right now. But
go
ahead.
I don't think it's necessarily where his head's at right now. I just think he misread Cassian, and Cassian, although out for himself, there is I get the sense that he'll honor his word.
Well, yeah.
So
that's kind of what I was getting
for
at.
Himself, but I think he misreads his overall intent. Yeah, he's in it for that money, but he was only promised X amount of money. That's all he's going to take.
Right.
So, yeah, he's going to follow through with what he said he's going to do.
So, I don't think he needed to take out Skeen to do that, though.
I think he did.
Really?
Because I think if he rejects Skeen, like, there's no way he rejects Skeen and then walks in there to tell Vel.
Okay. I see your point. Still not completely convinced, but I see your point.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's his word against Skeen's, basically.
It's his word against Skeen's, but I think if he goes in there to tell Vel this, Skeen's going to shoot him in the back.
Right.
I don't think there is a way
And Vel was not inclined to believe Cassian when he told her anyway. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But even that, okay, it's his word against Skeen's. Now you gotta question whether Vel would just eliminate him at that point.
right.
Because now he's making an issue at the end. They gotta do this transaction. So I don't think there was a way for him a way out for him
Right.
after Skeen makes this proposal. This was accept or end up dead.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. And that makes sense now.
So
Yeah.
I think he made the right move. He had the upper hand. Just shoot him.
Right. Right.
Yeah, totally think he made the right choice.
Huh. Interesting.
I mean, the guy lied about his brother and everything. Like, dude, this dude. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I took that a different way.
Yeah.
I took that as I don't have a brother like anymore. But okay.
Yeah, I think he lied about that whole thing. But you could be right.
Either way, it doesn't matter. I mean,
Nope, he did.
he did. Yep.
Yeah, one thing I will say here, I hope this isn't like just Gilroy's way of doing things now, where he's like, okay, we're gonna get to the end and we are going to kill everybody.
Right. Yeah. This is just how it all goes. Yeah. I mean, you said you had a bad feeling about one character in particular.
Yeah, Nemec.
Nemec, yeah. And that turned out to be the case for sure.
Oh man, in like the worst way.
Yeah, I know. Just gets crushed.
Okay. I know we don't talk physics in Star Wars.
Yeah.
All right. But I want to know how the hell he beat that pallet down there and got crushed between them.
Right.
They were all up on the stairway to the bridge.
True.
And they all got thrown backwards.
Right.
They were all in front of those pallets.
Okay.
So how does he get between them?
I'm not sure. All I have to say is Cassian told them all to hold on. That's
And it looked like they all did.
It looked like it, but it's like apparently not tight enough.
Yeah, no grip strength.
Exactly.
The rail was slippery.
I don't know. I mean, maybe because of all the weight of the credits, it took longer for that thing to actually move. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
I would think that'd make it move faster.
Right. I mean,
just because of the way it flung them, you would think that would already be moving.
right.
Yeah, I know we can't. It's Star Wars.
Right.
Physics don't apply the same. But that one confused me. Because it would have made sense if he would have remained behind it. Because that he was behind that before they took off. And then he got up and came up to the stairs near the bridge.
Right.
Or the cockpit, rather. Bridge.
Yeah.
But yeah, he came up to those stairs near the cockpit, and then they all got thrown back. And I'm like, he couldn't have gone over it because with the way they're going, he would have run into the back of it.
Right.
So I'm just like, how the hell did he? And why didn't that happen to anyone else? They were all bunched together. How did only he end up behind? Weird.
It is weird. Yeah. So, right after this, this is something we touched on before, so I wanna bring it up here again. Right after that happened, Cassian's screaming for the coordinates, and they have to help Nemec, to coax him along long enough to give Cassian all the coordinates and everything. And he's using his Polaroid camera.
Right.
But I have to say, we talked about, maybe they could have put a few more greeblies on there. There's one down there that I did not notice that I thought was a nice little touch for what this was actually used for. And that was a sextant on the side of it.
Yeah.
The navigational device for, ships and stuff. But I didn't catch that before. Like last time we saw it, I did see it in this episode, and I thought, oh, that was a nice one. That was a nice little touch.
I will say this, in the lighting of this scene and all that, it looked better.
It definitely looked better, yes.
What's weird, though, is like it almost looked like I could see the Polaroid logo on the front of it. But I think that's just because you pointed it out so much.
Right. Sorry about that.
I mean, they definitely left the flash lens in there.
Uh-huh.
It's just like, wow. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely looked better in this lighting.
Yeah. Also, the AKs were out in full force this episode, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I gotta say it's weird because it sounds like we're complaining right now.
Yeah, I know. Really not, but I mean...
Really not, because I think the arc as a whole was pretty good. This episode just felt like... I felt like they did enough setup to kind of... I think they could have reversed it. They could have kind of cut through the beginning with all the setup.
Right.
And then drug out the heist a little more.
Yeah. So one thing that I was thinking that they could have done is, and I forget the guy's name and rank, but the big cheese in charge with the family.
What do they call him? Commandant?
Something like that. Yeah. I feel like they could have brought him in last episode or even the one before to show just what a menace he is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because you have Gorn making a comment like, serving you for 7 years, I deserve worse than hanging.
Yeah, and it's like, man, we don't know this guy.
Exactly. Yes, he's a kind of a jerk to his kid and all that kind of stuff, and the pilgrims coming up to see the celestial eye or whatever. But beyond that, we really didn't get a good, taste of just how bad he could be. So, we get
they kind of hinted at it, right? Like,
right.
Because even with when he's getting dressed, right?
Oh yeah.
He's like, this wasn't stored right. It's all shriveled. Like,
right.
Or maybe you've grown.
Yeah.
It was he's the corrupt politician getting fat
and satisfied. Yeah.
Yep. So they had those little moments in there that said, hey, this is a bad dude who's been very corrupt.
Right.
Probably treats everyone else like garbage. And just, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, for this being the dark and gritty show, we could have seen an even worse side of him, I not that, I don't know. Not that we didn't get the picture, but it, make us hate the guy. And when he keels over with a heart attack, it'd be like, ha, You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, that was an interesting choice too. Like, oh, heart attack. Is
Right. I mean,
that the first heart attack that we've seen in Star Wars?
I think so. Honestly, I mean, he's grabbing his left arm and, hard time breathing, all that good stuff. Yeah, I think that was the first heart attack we've seen.
Been a lot of firsts in this episode.
Yeah.
First heart attack. First time hearing a dude take a whiz.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's an interesting choice.
Yep. Guess you even have to go in space.
Huh?
I guess you even have to go in space. That's
Yep.
Planet side, but whatever.
Yep. Yeah, it's...
Oh, okay. So here's the thing. I gotta say, I did like the nod to, I don't know if it's necessarily exclusively to this, but something that we have seen in Rebels, the TIE fighters, the way they're stored there in what is it, Alcani or whatever. It reminded me of the Wedge episodes.
Oh, yeah, with the Academy?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool kind of seeing them scramble, right?
Right.
And, pilots to the TIE fighters. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of, like, amazing visuals and...
Yeah, for sure. I don't know.
Yeah, like when Vel and Cinta were doing the James Bond rappel down the...
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that I was we talked about her being hesitant, Vel being hesitant to like say go on the mission. But what I was trying to figure out at that moment is, was she afraid of doing the mission, or was she afraid of rappelling down that wall? It's like,
I think it was the mission.
because she had to do that. It's like, it almost left me wondering, well, which was it? I mean, because I was thinking, man, this mission, you've been there for how long? And you're going to say, let's not do it now. No, I mean, you've been working at this that long. You're going forward,
Okay, I gotta bring up one other thing.
What's that?
So when Vel hooks up the jammer there, right?
Yeah. The frequency scrambler, whatever.
Yeah. So
And then it
like
beeps.
they show all this setup and stuff, and
Yep.
then like she hooks it up and she just runs down the thing. I'm like, right in plain view. I'm like,
Yeah.
that was your plan?
Right.
Like all that dude's got to do is go, "What the hell was that?" And like,
Yeah. And then she's looking over the top of the railing. Cynthia's like, hey, get down. What's the matter with you?
like it was almost comical, right? Like just
Yeah.
it was like sneak up, hook it up, and it's like,
Yes. Yes, we're gonna run for it.
yeah, I just and then like the next move is to like rappel down the side of this thing. I'm like, wow, this has its flaws.
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of like lighting a log on fire and waving it in the air, like,
Exactly. Yeah, as a signal.
yeah, I think you could just like blink a light,
Right. I'll forgive that one though, because I believe that one could be attributed to, the pilgrims coming for the ceremony. It's just one of those pilgrims, waving fire around.
Right, I guess, but at the same time, that's how Arnold called the Predator, right? Like,
Okay.
that's like the blatant, like, I'm here.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. Like there's moments of obvious like spycraft, right?
Yeah.
And then there's just some like, really?
Exactly. So I gotta say, the underwater thing with the little underwater propulsion device there, that seemed very James Bond to me. You know,
Mhm.
it was like, huh. But yeah, I don't know. So
Haven't we seen a device like that in Star Wars though?
in the Clone
Yes.
Wars.
In the Clone Wars, the Mon Cal
Yeah.
episodes.
Yes.
So that's been done.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
I'm just
I mean,
talking about the visual. It was like, yeah, seemed totally James Bond to me.
yeah, definitely, James. I mean, even the repelling, right? That was a very
Oh, sure.
James Bond or Mission Impossible.
Right. So
But yeah, they're definitely doing that. It's cool.
yeah.
It's a new look at it. It's definitely a more, I don't want to say realistic, but those moves aren't very realistic.
See, that's the way a lot of people are going to take it, though, I think. You know,
Yeah,
which,
this is real.
yeah, it's not how Star Wars is supposed to be. But not that it's bad for Star Wars. You know, this is working in this show for me, but it's, you know, when things are just outlandish, that's okay in Star Wars too. You know, I mean, you know,
Agreed.
we don't have Wookiees walking around on Earth, you know. But so I had a thought. Do you think this whole you know, introduction of this what'd you call him, commandant or whatever, and taking him and his family hostage and all that was meant to be a big surprise for us, and that's why they, you know, saved it all for right now in this episode? And I don't know, because for me that's part of what seemed kind of, you know, part of the rush feel, and you know, they apparently knew he was going to be there, and you know, all this.
Oh, I mean, they were definitely executing the plans, and it took me by surprise. Like when they get in the doors, like they're just in the doors, and rifles are up.
Right.
I'm like, whoa! You're not even gonna get away from the door?
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. It so I guess when, I don't know, lost my train of thought, sorry. You know, just, that was definitely the plan. They all knew the plan. Got in the door, Cassian locked the door, you know, but still.
Yeah, although I will say this. I thought Nemec was going to bite it right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It certainly seemed that way, didn't it?
Yeah. It's like, ooh, this is building. This is not going to be good. He's going to shoot him.
I got to say, the look was very similar to the Greedo shot first scene with Han Solo. Just cock the head to the side a little bit as a blaster bolt goes by.
Right? Yeah. There was something else I wanted to talk about. I don't remember.
Happens to me too.
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. And it was something I thought of while we were talking here, so
Oh,
it's not something I wrote down prior. All right, so at the end, the
Yeah.
very end,
okay.
the very end, we see the ISB gets called in, right?
Yes.
All hands on deck.
Right.
And then, you know, it's obvious right there. We know why they're all hands on deck.
Yeah.
This heist has just happened. News is getting to them. They got to try and get in front of it right away.
Retaliation protocols.
Yeah. Oh, and my other thought actually just came back to me. We'll finish this.
Okay.
And then from there they cut to the Senate chamber.
Right.
Mon Mothma's in the middle of a speech about a bill she's proposing, and she's looking around the chamber, and everyone's talking about something else.
Right. No one's listening to her.
No one. What you think? Like, how'd that feel? Like, was that a cool way to kind of show the impact that heist had on Coruscant?
It was cool. It's almost a shame. I mean, I think it was meant to show two things, right? That yes, this rebel attack had an impact on what people were thinking on Coruscant, and no one's that interested in what Mon Mothma has to say in the Senate as of these days. Anyway, right? Like, yeah, what she's saying, it's not that important to pay attention even through this, and just pay attention to this after she's done,
I took that two ways. Not just like what she's saying, but just anything happening in the Senate. I think that sends the message that even everybody in the Senate thinks it's a joke. It's ceremonial, right? Like, there's a Senate for an illusion of there being...
We're here for the glamour and the parties.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think it shows what the joke is, how much of a joke the Senate is.
Right. Yeah, kind of like nothing we're
like
doing
Palpatine's
here.
Calling the shots.
Yeah, nothing we're doing here is really making any difference anyway. But if we're not here, what else am I going to do, right? So, yeah.
Like, yeah, so what? You're proposing a bill. We can vote all we want. If Palpatine doesn't like it, it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
So I thought that was cool. It just showed like I said, the Senate just being like, meh.
Right.
Because I mean, it didn't look like anyone was listening to her anyway. Even before they cut to the people talking amongst themselves.
Yeah, true.
The chamber looked relatively empty, honestly.
Yeah, and it was cool to see the Senate again, right?
Yes.
But you're right, it was almost like, half the people there are not even there,
Right, it looked like she was talking to an empty room to begin with.
Exactly.
Not like when we saw the Senate in the prequels.
Right, because then the Senate was full of debate and arguing back and forth, and
and when it panned around, like when you're seeing this scene with Mon Mothma in the Senate, what do they call those things again? The platform or whatever. What did they call it? Whatever.
The pods.
Pods, yeah. When she's out in the middle there, in the prequels, when they showed that person out in the middle, you would look around the rotunda there and you would see everyone in theirs.
Yes.
This looked very blank, like all those were empty.
Yeah.
So, at the same time, I know it's a TV show.
Right.
And, CGI and all these characters into these things probably wasn't cheap.
Agree, but I think it works to the benefit of the show, for sure.
Right. But, yeah. I think it just showed the joke that the Senate is.
Right. And probably why it's so easy for Palpatine not too far down the road to disband the Senate altogether.
Yeah. My other thought.
Uh-huh.
Nemec's manifesto.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, kind of curious. Is this going to be the catalyst?
Yes. I think this has got to play a role. You know, because Cassian has been subverting the Empire in his own way for his own reasons without any real direction. I think that this is going to actually, quote unquote, make him a believer.
Right. Yeah. He's been doing it with no belief in a cause or even believing he can make a difference.
Right.
And I think my thought was that manifesto is going to be, it's going to have information in there for him that kind of leans his thinking that like even the littlest thing makes a difference.
Right.
Especially if it can inspire or it can, you know, certain types of blows.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, he obviously had some affection for this kid.
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
Because he even said, okay, where's the doctor? Like, he's the one that made that call.
Right.
To try and save his life. When Vel was obviously leaning towards, look, he's going to die.
Yeah.
Let him die.
Right.
Which, that also kind of calls back to, why was she hesitant? Because maybe self-preservation then.
That's kind of what I was thinking, you know, because Skeen even says it's all about the mission, right, for her. But, you know, but if you had this contingency plan in place, you had to know that it was a possibility. You might have to use it, you know?
Right. I mean, I understand her point. I mean, you got this ship full of what, 80 million credits.
Right.
You know, the Empire is going to be looking for that. Making a pit stop probably isn't the best way to get it where you want it to go.
Exactly.
So I understand her thought, but at the same time, where'd the hesitation come from? Because yeah, you obviously didn't hesitate because you were worried about the lives of the others.
Exactly.
Because when it came down to him, she's like, if he dies, he dies.
Right.
So, well, anything else you wanted to point out, cover?
No, I think we pretty much hit all the highlights. It's you know, definitely a satisfying episode. I mean, there's a lot there, right? Right. You know, like you said, the heist was quick, but you know, it worked.
There's still a lot to unpack.
Yes, exactly. I think maybe yes, we had more lead up to this than was necessary. I think, I think I mentioned a couple ways they could have done the lead up differently so that it made more sense, during this episode. But overall, good episode. I'm kind of wondering where they're going to go next. Didn't mention Luthen, hearing about this from a customer at his store. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But now he's going to have to find Cassian, I think, because Cassian's ducking out. So
I don't think he'll be surprised.
No.
I don't think he expected Cassian to come back. Like,
yeah, true.
So, yeah.
But yeah, overall good stuff. So
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It's I'll say this. As far as Star Wars TV, I do feel overall that Andor here is elevating the game.
okay,
I mean, just visually and character building and stuff like that. I think they're elevating the game. As far as like, Star Wars action and stuff, yeah, okay, that's Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, right?
right.
But I think as far as like a cinematic presentation, it's elevated the game. This has been like watching a movie.
Yeah, it has. I mean, which is something, I would say we should expect from Star Wars in general.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, for all that Tony Gilroy wants to say, you don't have to come in like expecting Star or whatever he says, like it's not going to feel like you're watching Star Wars, but you're watching Star Wars.
no fan service. Yeah.
He's wrong.
Right.
Because, I mean, this very much feels like Star Wars. It looks like Star Wars. It feels like cinematic Star Wars.
Right.
Which I think, honestly, makes it feel more like Star Wars than some of the other shows. Because the other shows lack some of that big, epic, like, cinema style, right?
Wow.
I think they do. I think there are definitely times with, The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan Kenobi where you knew you were watching a TV show.
Right. They did have their moments like that for sure.
Yeah, and I don't feel like Andor's had that.
Okay.
It feels like big screen Star Wars all the time.
Cool.
And it could just be because, they're not doing the volume stuff, right?
That might have something to do with it. Yeah.
As great as the volume is, maybe it just lacks some depth in the long run. And shooting these scenes like on locations and stuff like that just reestablish that depth.
Yeah.
So, like I said, as great as the volume is, shooting these scenes out in the hills and stuff just kind of made it feel more like big cinema, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, if you have anything to add, you can always email us. show@thewarsandmore.com. It's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. Find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts, Doug?
No, I think we've about covered it.
All right. We will talk next week.